What's up, guys? It's Austin Rutherford here. I hear way too often from my friends saying, well, I didn't know about this. What is this? I didn't know about student loan debt. I didn't know about how that could affect me in the future. I didn't know about credit card debt. I didn't know how that could affect me in the future. I didn't know about DTI, debt to income ratio, the things you need to know to be able to qualify for a car or qualify for a house. I didn't know about trade school. I didn't know there was an easier way to go to college. I didn't know any of these things, and school never told me any of these things. That's what we're talking about today. The worst financial mistakes you can make in your 20s and how you can avoid them. And you're probably sitting there saying, well, I didn't know. Nobody told me. You can't use that as an excuse. I didn't know either. I grew up the same. Go to school, get a good degree, graduate, get a job, work your job for 30, 40, 50 years, and then retire and then live the life that you want to live. You can't use that as an excuse. It's not an excuse. It is your job to do what's best for you. You have to go out there and research. Do your own due diligence so you can make your own decisions. School never taught us about financial literacy, about investing in our future, about compounding interest, about doing things that'll set you up for life, for the future, not just working a job. These are things that the rich and wealthy know. These are things that they know from the very, very beginning, and their kids, as soon as they're born, the parents even start planning these things for their kids. We don't know these things. So what I did is I made a video on the worst financial decisions that you can make in your teens and in your 20s. And we're gonna get into it right now. But first mistake you're gonna make is not subscribing to your boy. So hit that red button. We're about to get into it right now. So mistake number one, the first mistake you're gonna have is going into debt. Yes, there's good debt, and yes, there's bad debt. And if you're in the wrong debt, if you're in bad debt, it can take you years and years and years to get out of, and it'll mess your future up. You won't be able to qualify to buy a house. You won't be able to qualify to buy a car. So make sure that you're going into the correct debt. Examples of bad debt are credit cards. When you're going to school, maybe you pull out a credit card to live, to eat, to get gas, to get your food, to go out and party, do all those things. But the problem with that is you're stacking up credit card debt on top of student loan debt. And the issue with why you're using the credit card is because you don't have any income coming in. And that's what we're going to talk about here, number two. Another bad debt is a car note. As soon as you start making some money, you start hustling as a teenager, you go to school, you get a part-time job, you maybe graduate from college and then get a good high-paying job, and then you go out and get a car note. You get a nice car that's all flashy, that looks good for your friends, then you have to pay for it every month. You have to pay for it for 3, 5, 7 years, and that's gonna be on your record. That's bad debt. Don't do that. Live below your means to start out. You can even go get cash loans. You can get money fronted to you. Unless it's absolutely needed, or your last option, don't do that, because their interest rates are insanely high, and they're gonna come after you for those things. And then the other type of debt, which can be good and can be bad at times, and this is a super controversial topic, is student loan debt. Student loan debt in a lot of cases is bad debt, because you'll go to college and you'll get this degree and then you won't even go out and use it after that. The average student loan debt in 2019, and this is from studentloanplanner.com, is $35,397 per student, or $1.64 trillion in student loan debt, and 11% plus is in delinquency. And it's only gonna get worse from there. You're going to college, you're getting this great degree, spending a ton of money on this thing, and then you're going out and trying to find a job, and the job barely has enough money to pay for your student loan debt, let alone buy a house, let alone invest in the future, let alone live, eat, food, clothing, things like that. It's only gonna get worse from here. That delinquency rate is gonna go up tremendously. If you're going to college for some generic trade like business or entrepreneurship, look at other options. Look at options like trade schools, where you can go there and learn very, very quickly in 1 to 2 years and get the same degree and not have crazy debt that you can't afford to get out of. Try learning from a mentor. Learning from a mentor is one of the best things you can do, because they're in the business doing it every single day. If they're doing it every day, that's a tremendous way to learn. Start an e-commerce business, start a drop shipping business. All of these things can be learned on YouTube and or through a course that you can buy for a few $100s at times. So instead of going to college and getting this massive degree, try some of these other options. Now the flip side to this is good debt. There is good debt out there, and good debt can be a very, very positive thing, like buying a house. Buying a house and leveraging debt, leveraging a bank to fund that purchase for you is a tremendous way to invest in your future, because that's an income producing asset. That house pays you money, tenants, they pay you rent every single month. So you have debt, the tenants pay you rent, and the rent covers more than your mortgage payment, and it's a good income producing asset. Those are the types of debts that you want to get more of, because that is what's going to set you up for your future. And I'm not sitting here saying that all school debt is bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. Going to school to be a doctor, getting a degree, going to school to be a nurse, to get a degree. Other things as well in school and degrees that you get in school are good debts, because you have to have those things to do the career choice that you want. But sometimes people go to school and do a career choice that they don't necessarily need a degree for. So I'm not saying that all school is bad debt. That's not what I'm saying at all here. There is good debt and there is bad debt. While we're on the topic of school, quick funny story. I didn't go to college. I went to college for like a year and then dropped out, but all my friends went to college. During that time when they were in college, I was starting a business and I was starting to invest in my future and buying rental properties. So I owned some rental properties on Ohio State University's campus where people went to school at. One day they came over and was telling me about this crazy party that was going down on campus the night before, and it was wild and there was parties, and then they started explaining the house to me, and I was like, wait a minute, is it the house on this corner and this color and this porch? They're like, yeah, that's the house. I was like, I own that house. I got a call from the police department the next day for this wild party that was thrown. I had to send the tenant letters and notify them that they're going to be liable for all damages and to never do something like that again. So while everybody was out partying and having a good time and living the life, I owned the house that they were living at. I was getting paid to host the party. So invest in your future as soon as you can. Mistake number 2 is not having any income. If you don't have any income, the only way to survive is by continuing to go into debt, pulling out credit cards, swiping that credit card and just swiping. You have to find a way to produce income in your teens and in your 20s, whether that's shoveling driveways, whether that's cutting grass, whether that's flipping sneakers, whether that's, buying candy and selling it wholesale, whether that's picking up a part-time job, whether that's, starting a side hustle, whatever it is, you have to find a way to produce income. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going lower and lower and lower, farther and farther into debt. So you have to find a way to produce income. And the more income that you produce, the more you can invest into your future. And the earlier you do it, the better off you're going to be. So produce income, invest it into the future, and try to go into as little debt as possible. Mistake number 3 is being short-sighted. It's not looking to the future. It's looking for temporary happiness and not setting yourself up for the future. What you do now massively affects your future. You can set yourself up to live life like you could only dream of, or you can set yourself up for 5, 10, 15, 20 years of pain and struggle. Invest what you can when you're young. It will pay dividends. For example, my friends were in college partying, going into debt, and I was making money, investing it into my future. And the party that the house was at, I owned it. I was making money. This right here will blow your mind when I saw this. The power of starting to invest when you're young, it will be mind-blowing for you. So the guidelines are, if you were to invest $250 a month at 8% interest, and you go until you're 65. So $250 every single month, and you gain 8% interest on it, and you do it until you turn 65. If you started investing when you were 25 years old, you would have a total of $872,752 as a nest egg for you. And you only put in $120,000 of it, meaning that the interest, the compounding interest that accumulated over those 40 years was $752,752. Crazy. You what, 5-6x'd your money? That's insane to me. Now look at the same example, but you didn't start doing that until you were 35. So you lost 10 years. You're doing it when you're 35. At the age of 65, for 30 years, you have $372,590. You have less than half of what you would have had because you started 10 years late. You only put in $90,000 and the interest was only $282,590. Again, way less than half of what you could have done just 10 years sooner. One more example. Let's say the example starts when you're 45 instead of 25. So you're only doing it for 20 years. If you do it for 20 years and you wait until late in life to start this, same thing, but you start late, you only have $147,255. You put in 60 grand and you made $87,255 in interest. When you start when you're 25, you have almost $900,000 in there and you only put 120 grand in. When you start when you're 45, you only have $147,000 and you put $60,000 into it. The power of compounding interest and investing when you are young is next to none. You have to invest when you're young. You have to, because it'll set yourself up for the future. Invest into things when you're young, as soon as you can, whether that's the stock market, whether that's real estate, whether that's putting money into a Roth IRA or retirement account that'll grow tax-free for the rest of your life. Whatever it is, find ways to invest when you are young. Mistake number 4 is bad credit. You don't just start off with terrible credit. There's things you do to get bad credit. And if you're watching this and you already have bad credit, there are ways around this. 1, you need to work on your credit. You need to start paying your bills on time. You need to start paying off all those late payments. You can use private money to invest in deals like real estate. You can do things to get around it as you build up that credit. So don't think if you're watching this and, oh, well, I have bad credit, I'm out of here. That's not it. There's still ways to do it while working on your credit to then get good credit. And the ways that you get bad credit is by not making your payments. It's by getting an eviction on your record. It's by getting a foreclosure on your record. It's by not paying your student loan debt. I have friends that laugh about like, yeah, I'm not paying my student loan debt either. You got into the debt. You have to pay the debt off because it'll hurt your credit going forward and it'll hurt the things that you can qualify for. Credit gets you things in the future. Like buying a house, you have to have good credit to get a loan from a bank. Again, you can use private money, but the best debt that you can get is from a bank, and you have to have good credit. To get a house, to buy a cash flowing asset, to buy an apartment building, you have to have good credit. To rent houses, you normally have to have good credit. You could even Airbnb hack. You could rent a unit and then Airbnb it and make money on top of it simply by just having good credit. The better your score is, the lower your interest rate is going to be. So the lower your interest rate is, the higher your credit score is. The lower your credit score is, the higher your interest rate is. What that means, the higher the interest rate that you have is the more you have to pay for a house. If you have a 500 credit score and I have a 700 credit score, on the same exact house, your house payment, let's say, will be $1,000 a month. My house payment will be $700 a month. So you make more money simply by having good credit. And I'm gonna give you one hack right here. A way that you can set your kids up for the future, or the way that you can help your current credit score, is by being an additional signee on somebody else's credit card. So go to somebody who has really good credit and who pays their credit card bill every single month and have them add you as a signer on the account. You don't get a credit card here. Don't go out there and blow their credit card up. They don't give you a credit card. You're just added as a signee, which means that every time they pay off their credit card, you get a good payment on your credit history. So you can use somebody else's good payment history to build your credit. If you have terrible credit right now and you have a friend that has really, really good credit and makes payments every single month on time, ask them if they can add you as a signor on their credit card. And then you can even pay them. There's people that pay people to be added as a signee on their credit card. Parents out here, if you're watching this right now, as soon as your kid gets of age, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, whatever it is, if you pay your credit card and you're on time and you make good payments, add them as an additional signee to your credit card. Don't give them a credit card. Add them as a signee. And then the years until they start using their credit, that you make those payments every single month for your credit, you're making those payments for their credit. So they're building a credit history without them even knowing about it. That's what my parents did for me. It was a blessing in disguise because I came out having good credit. So make sure that you add your kids as a signor on your credit card. Mistake number 5, not taking risks, not going after what you want to go after. When you're a teenager or you're in your 20s, what do you have to lose? Like, people always say, well, I'm scared to lose. I'm scared to lose it all. When you don't have anything, when you're young and you haven't made a ton of money, what do you lose? Let's say you lose everything. What do you lose? A 2002 Toyota Camry? You have the least amount of responsibilities that you will ever have when you're young. There's no better time to take that leap of faith than when you're young because you don't have any responsibilities. People play way too small and they play way too scared. I'm gonna tell you this straight up. Jump off the cliff. People aren't gonna tell you that. People are gonna tell you to take the easy road. People are gonna tell you to go to school and get a degree. People are gonna tell you to not invest in your future and believe in yourself. No, forget all that. Jump off the cliff. 100%, no questions asked. I was there. I was in a time just like yours, and I felt like I was lost in life, like I didn't know what to do. And I was scared to make a massive investment in myself because it's unknown. We're not used to those things, but I promise you, it pays off. Jump off the cliff, please. Remember when we just talked about compounding interest? How when you start young, it piles up like crazy? Think about this. Let's say you go down the normal route. You follow the herd, you go to college, you get a degree in some bullcrap degree that you didn't even want to get in. You go and get a job and make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. And then compounding interest after you've worked there for 20, 30, 40 years, you start making, let's call it 6 figures. Let's call it 100 grand a year. Let's call it 200 grand a year. But you've been there for 20, 30 years. Again, it compounds. You grow, you make a little bit more money. So you're making 6 figures 30 years later in life. Think about this option. Let's say right now you took that leap of faith and you started your dreams. And 1, 2, 3 years from now, you started making 6 figures, which is what happens when you follow your dreams. You can make real money. You started making that now. 20, 30 years from now, the same timeline as if you were going to college and getting a job, 20, 30 years from now, instead of making 6 figures, 100 grand, 200 grand, you'll be making millions of dollars because of compounding interest. If you start at 20, 30, 40 grand, you can grow to, 100, 200 grand. But if you start at 0 and work to 100, 200 grand very early from taking that leap of faith, that 100 to 200 grand in 20, 30 years from now can turn into millions and millions and millions of dollars. The gift of being young, it is a gift. When I talk to people that are older than me, all they say is take advantage of the youth. I wish I was younger. I wish I would have gone harder. I wish I would have done more. I bought my first house when I was 19. I wish I would have bought it sooner, and I wish I would have gone harder. I'm 26 now. I wish I would have gone harder. There is no time like the youth. You have 0 responsibilities. You don't have anything to worry about. As you get older, you start having house payments. You start having credit card payments. You start having car payments. You start having a family. You start having kids. You start having all these responsibilities that you have to take care of. You have the least amount of responsibilities in your teens and in your early 20s. Take that time to work on you and take the leap of faith. Follow that dream. Pursue that passion. Whatever it is, go get it. And number 6, what I personally think is the biggest mistake you can make of all is not working on yourself. If you don't work on yourself, all those other things are irrelevant. You can have the best credit. You can have the greatest debt to income ratio. You can have the highest paying salary. If you don't work on yourself and you don't know what to invest in and you don't know what to do with any of those things, it doesn't matter. You have to work on yourself. You have to educate yourself. You have to read books. You have to journal. You have to do things that'll grow your knowledge base so you can make good decisions and you can invest in the right things. It might not be the best idea to follow the herd, to go to college, get a degree, get a good high-paying job and work for the next 4 years. Might not be for you. That's okay. That's completely fine. Stick up for yourself and what you want. Follow your dreams. I see way too many people following dreams of other people or following dreams of their parents simply because they don't know what other options are out there. So how do you get those options? Journal. That's what I did. My dream was to go and be an NBA ball player. It didn't work out. When I was, 18 years old, I completely fell out of love with the game of basketball. Maybe 19 years old. Fell out of love with the game of basketball. And I hated it, and I was lost because basketball was my life. I had no idea what to do. So I started reading books and I started journaling. And what happens when you spend time with yourself, when you read books, it opens you up to other possibilities. When you journal, it makes you think about what you want in your life. When I was in college, I was a lame because I would go up to the rooftop of my building and just sit there and journal. Spend time with myself, literally take a book and just write down my thoughts on it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was completely lost. So for every day, I spent 30 minutes journaling and thinking to myself. And what I did one day, I went up to the rooftop of my building. I was sitting there journaling, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. You may be saying the same thing. Well, Austin, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what passion I have. I don't know what I want to pursue. I didn't either. I was lost. I was as lost as you could be. Like I said, basketball was my passion. So I was journaling and I was sitting on the roof and I looked out across the way and I saw a 9-unit apartment building. And I sat there and thought, I was like, okay, 9 units, if all 9 of them pay the owner $1,000 a month, that's $9,000 a month. So he's making $9,000 a month just by owning a building. Light bulb lit. I'm going into real estate. I'm getting into real estate. That's how I'm gonna be rich because I took the time to journal, because I took the time to work on myself instead of going out every night and partying with my friends, instead of going to college and going to pool parties and all those things that people do when they're young that don't do any good for them in the future. So take the time to work on you through reading and journaling and manifesting your future, and it'll pay off dividends along the way. At the end of the day, it's your life. You can't follow the herd. You can't follow anybody else's decisions. You can't pursue other people's dreams. Maybe your parents have a dream they want you to pursue. You can't do any of those things. It is your life, and you have a duty to do what's best for you. You need people around you that support you. You're gonna have a lot of people in your circle, especially when you start pursuing your own dreams and your own goals. You're gonna have a lot of people in your circle that look down on you, that tell you that you can't do it, that tell you not to invest in yourself, that tell you not to pursue the dreams. That's not good. You need people in your circle that support you and push you to be the best you. So if you want some more support, hit that red subscribe button below. I'm gonna continue to drop videos just like this that's motivating, that's pushing, that's inspiring, that encourages you to follow your dreams. issues, because that's what I did. I had people around me that helped me. I met people, I put people in my circle that helped me get past any barriers that I had. So if you want to start investing into real estate, that's what got me. That's what started my business. That's what made me a multimillionaire. Watch this video right here. And if you have issues with self-confidence, which is what I had issues with, when you're taking that leap of faith or deciding on taking that leap of faith and you don't have the confidence in yourself to do it, it's a real thing. I went through it. Watch this video over here. This will teach you how to get confidence in yourself and how that can change your life. Again, appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you on the next one.